Hello and welcome to Parental Composure. We are back and Hannah's here to replace Mike. And today we're going to be talking about the societal pressures that women receive when talking about having kids or not. Hello.
Hey guys.
Hannah is here and she's replacing Mike today because he is still out with his vasectomy recovery. Yes.
It's been a wild ride.
It has been quite a wild ride, and we've been hearing all the updates from Mike on how his process is going. And I'm sure you can assume it's very entertaining.
Yes.
So
We'll leave it at that.
yeah, we'll leave it at that. No details. But yeah, so today we're going to be talking about the societal pressures that women get, and especially women within the range of 20 to 30 on getting, having kids and whether they should or shouldn't have kids. And I'm kind of beyond that now just because I have, a family, but I really am interested to hear about your experiences and how that's gone.
Yeah, I think it's definitely kind of ebbed and flowed throughout, from generation to generation. And I think, in my personal opinion, I feel like we're kind of hitting another wave of where women are actually wanting to be mothers a lot younger. And I've just seen it with a lot of kind of friends, acquaintances that I went to high school, college with that are just kind of diving into life head first and just kind of whether they're having kids with their boyfriend and just kind of aren't in the whole marriage thing, or they get married pretty quickly and then decide to have a child very quickly after that. And it's not gonna lie, it's a little bit like whiplash, going on social media, because it's everyone's either kind of engaged, planning their wedding, already pregnant. And it's just it's very surreal to kind of remember that they're my age, that's kind of exactly where I am in life too, but we're in very, very different places. So
Which is okay.
Yes,
right?
which is absolutely okay. But it's it can go either way, where it seems back when I was in high school and probably still in college, it was still a little bit taboo if you were to come out and say that you were expecting a baby as a woman that age. And I think that really hasn't changed. But I would say even after graduating college, I've been out of college for about 2 years now, and I'm going to be 24 next month.
Okay.
So
yes,
that's still, in my eyes, very young to be having a child, 24. But
yes, it is.
I would say it's a little bit more normal, though, to see girls my age after graduating college, if they have found the person that they're marrying and they got married or whatever it is, or they just kind of boycott the whole marriage part of the equation and just want to dive right into starting a family, that's kind of becomes sort of normal.
And I think, in my opinion, I think that's great, just because I think people are really pushing the boundary of what is okay and what's not okay. And people are willing to say, look, this is my way of doing it, and I don't care what you think, type of thing. But at the same time, we're talking about, you still have those, I guess especially from family, would you say, family and people that are close with you, they start to kind of nitpick or say little things that.
Yes. I would say on the end of kind of rushing things a little bit, a lot of family is pressuring me, and I have a boyfriend of 2 years now, and they seem to think that's the perfect time to start asking us when we're getting married, and I'm just I don't know. And it's always the awkward kind of him and I look back and forth at each other and we're okay.
Oh my
but
gosh.
It's my family's a little bit more old fashioned. I've got a lot of cousins that kind of got married and had kids very young, as young as even 20, 21.
Yep.
And that's just not really where I passed that by a lot. And still don't see that for myself for quite a few years. So to see them kind of being such young moms and already in the thick of family life, that's just a little bit intense. And I get pressured from grandmas and aunts and uncles and stuff to like ask like if I'm gonna be there soon, because me and my brother are both like not really in that place. Like we're both in pretty serious relationships, but we're not there.
Yeah.
So it's
it makes
just like
harder too when you have the family, like
Mm-hmm.
your cousins and stuff like that. When like your grandma is probably used to seeing that, so that she's like, okay, it's your turn now. When are you gonna do it? And you're like, no, not ready yet.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of like puts a lot of thoughts in your head, and you're just kind of like, obviously, I really want that for myself. I'm really excited for like when I get to have kids, and I'm really excited to get married and have a wedding, and I want to kind of like do all the very normal milestone-y type things.
Right.
And I mean, I think there's a lot of benefits to being a young mom, like in your 20s. Like you can kind of like bounce back a lot quicker, and I mean, it obviously has a lot to do with where you're at. Like if you do have a career, if you feel comfortable financially, I think that's a big part of it for me that I will have to take into consideration. Like no matter how ready I am, I still want to make sure that it's like the right move for me, and being able to be prepared for that, because it's a lot. I'm sure like once that comes and you start paying for another person and you have this whole other life that you're responsible for, it makes things a lot more intense.
Well, and it's, I mean, coming from experience, getting married at 19, like the process of like having babies on top of, you know, for us, we couldn't afford daycare. So I ended up staying home, and we're on one income. And I don't even think that's possible these days. I mean, honestly, and that was only,
it's hard.
I don't know, 10 to 12 years ago. And so that's also stuff that, you know, people think about, which they should. I mean, I think that's smart.
I mean, I think you kind of have to take a step back, because especially like on social media and stuff, people like to like make this life of being a young mom so glamorous, and like how like so cute, and you get to go on walks in your little matching outfits with your baby, and it's this like amazing cute thing, and you just like everyone wants to be around you because you've got this cute baby, and it's just almost like kind of like arm candy. Like that's how they make it look on like like these girls on Instagram. They make it look like it's walk in the park. I'm like, I'd like to see a photo of your kid that just like puked all over you, and you had a really long day, and you're crying in the bathroom like hiding from your child. Because I'm sure there's
I'm so glad you know. I'm so glad you know what's real and what's not.
Well, luckily it's like I know, like I'm not dumb enough to think that it's all butterflies and rainbows, because I know that's otherwise you guys wouldn't even have anything to talk about.
I know, it's so true. What would we talk about?
But that's, I mean, it's part of life. It's a big step. You have to make sure you're ready for it. And so I think that's, I mean, something my boyfriend kind of puts into perspective, because I definitely can get my head in la la land where I'm like, oh my God, like engagement rings, weddings, that'd be so fun to plan, because his sister's actually getting married right now.
Oh,
and then
that
like
makes it even more.
Right after the whole wedding thing, it's like babies and all that. And he's just like, you need to simmer down. Like that's not like, that's not really like, I know in my heart that I'm not ready for that. But I mean, it's just like fun to think about and talk about and dream about kind of like where your life's going to be in like 5 to 10 years or whatever it is. But I think you kind of just gotta, if that's not where you're at, you just need to enjoy what you have right now.
Totally.
Because when you do have a kid, the certain luxuries that I have right now are not going to be a thing anymore. So,
you know, you seem to have your head on your shoulders. I mean, for real, like, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty good at weeding through everything and just kind of taking it for face value and realizing that some of these like glamorous sort of depictions of motherhood and starting a family really young are probably not actually like reality, and that these people probably are not. I mean, it's also like a pride thing for me. I think I want to be able to afford like for my family with my husband, whatever, like by ourselves. I don't think like I'm not gonna lie, if I were to like be expecting a child right now, I would have to rely on my parents. I'd be like, I need your help, can't afford this kid.
Well, especially I mean in places like where we are, Colorado. I mean, I would have to do the same thing. I mean, if I were in your boat, because it's not possible these days. I mean, it's possible, but like you're saying, you need help a lot of the times. Do you think that like social media and stuff has made it even more like, I don't know, in your face a little bit, like when it comes to that kind of stuff? Because you're talking about seeing the women with their cute babies and their matching outfits and all that stuff. Do you think it's worse now than it was like 10 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think like those different mixed messages that you start to see are way worse now that there's social media to be like another platform of like pressure, you know? Because when it's just your family or whatever it is, you can be like, ah, yeah, whatever. But it's like when you see people like your age, like girls your age that you seem to think are like you,
Right.
and they're doing it, it definitely kind of like puts this weird feeling inside of you where you're like, well, is that maybe like okay? Is that what I should be doing? Is that the new norm? Like you start to kind of feel like you should maybe like follow suit, or they obviously because they make it look so amazing. You're like, well, that couldn't be so hard. Like that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like you kind of, I mean, you just have to sort of take it all and sort it out as within like your own beliefs and just figure out if that's like what you actually want or if it's something that you just kind of fantasize about that some girl is making it look like, I don't know,
great and wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this
amazing.
fantasy. I don't know any other word to say but fantasy, like, because it's not, I know that's not real. My mom has kind of, I mean, when she was, her and my parents had me and my brother when they were like early 30s, so I think that was a really great time and they felt financially stable and ready for that, and so I kind of follow their life model a lot. I think a lot of the things that they did is kind of like where I want to take my life as well. And my mom worked and she kept working. She took like maternity leave in a normal way and then kind of continued to work. So I think that's really cool that she still was able to prioritize her career, but obviously they were in a place where they could afford childcare, which is a big part of it. It's like as a woman, if you really want to, or man, I mean, I think things are changing. Like if you still want to pursue your career, you have to consider how you're going to afford to have someone watch your child. Then.
Right. It's a huge thing.
Yeah. And it's like, that's the one thing that has kind of come to the forefront for me most is like you and Mike have kind of expressed how expensive childcare is. And I'm like, whew.
It is.
I can't afford that.
I know.
So it's like, and I don't want to quit my job.
No,
so
yeah.
I think it's as
and
simple
I mean,
as
you're
that.
like at your prime right now.
Yeah.
Like you're growing in your career. You have plenty of time. I think, so have you talked to your mom at all about like the difference of like when she was your age, like versus like what you're going through right now with this whole pressure thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I was saying, how it's kind of like ebbed and flowed. I think when
Yeah.
my mom, like, she was like kind of thinking about starting having kids like late 80s, early 90s. And I think during that time, especially the 80s, women were really like breaking through and being in the workforce. And like that's what they wanted to do. They really wanted to like work and kind of put family to the wayside until a little bit later in life, which I think is what she did and kind of just was what happened.
Right.
But I mean, I think that it's the most logical in my opinion now to kind of like financially, like if you are into your career and like what's best for your future child. So, I mean, I think that's a good way to think about it, but like not to tread on the women that are just wanting to have a child younger. I mean, that's just kind of because my boyfriend's mom, she had kids pretty young. She started having kids at about 25, 26. Yeah. But we grew up with very similar family values and are very kind of like on the same page about everything.
That's awesome.
So
that makes things easier.
Yeah, I know.
Like when you have a relationship with somebody that can relate, and, it makes it so much easier.
I'm just a big girly girl and he has to pull me out of wedding la la land every now and again. But like we do see eye to eye. Like he just kind of has to like do a check with me. He's like, that's not what you want right now, right? And I'm like, no. I just like to look at wedding dresses on Pinterest at night. Like it's not really what I want right this second. So
that's good. He sounds like a stable, I mean.
Yeah, but me and my mom are super close. We talk about all kinds of stuff. She thinks it's probably interesting just to see what like kids my age are doing and what we think is like, I don't know, important in life and kind of things like that. I think she sees, like I see, a lot of people kind of making a career out of these, like being an influencer, like a social media influencer. And it's like, I would say a lot of those girls are the girls that are like having kids so young. It's like their life's kind of taken care of and they're just doing all their business at home on a phone, posting pictures of their baby. Like that's literally how they're getting paid. So I think she thinks like that whole culture is very interesting. And she's just like, I do not get it. I don't even get it. Like I don't get how these girls are making so much money. I
don't get it either. It's not fair. But I mean, it's not fair.
It's totally not fair. Like there's this one, like I'm not going to name names, but I know this individual who does not, like she had like a really cool like career lined up. Like she was working at Gucci in New York City. And then this whole thing kind of happened and she's been doing it since college, but like she just kind of quit her job and moved back to California where she's from, and then is like doing this whole online like influencer thing. And she's getting these massive brands to like stand behind her while she does these like happy hours. Like, let's make cocktails in my kitchen at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. Like, I just like, I would love to live that life. I commend her for what she's doing, but I'm like, how?
And it's so not like a normal thing. Like,
no,
people try it all the time and don't succeed. So,
well, I know for a fact that her family comes from some money.
Well, that makes a difference.
So
that does make a difference.
Makes money, as sad as it is, makes a difference in basically everything.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. But I'm really happy that you came today.
Yes, thanks for having me.
About this with me, and I'd love to do this more, maybe on different subjects of like younger,
absolutely,
generations and everything. So,
yes.
Do you have any advice you want to give out to those or women that are in your same position?
I mean, I think this is going to sound really cliche and corny, but just like listen to yourself and your own intuitions. Kind of be aware of like where you're at and what your goals are in life. And then if a family is kind of going to fit into that earlier or later, that is perfectly fine. Like, you got to just do whatever is best for you. But obviously keep those things in mind, like your finances, what your partner thinks, and just kind of have the conversation, I guess.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
You just came up with that out of nowhere. That was like the best advice ever. Well, thank you for joining us today, and we will see you guys next time tomorrow. Just remember to visit our socials, go to Facebook, YouTube, hit that bell, so subscribe to our channel, and Instagram. And we will see you guys tomorrow.